This is a Lip Media podcast.
Hello, Lamely. Some of the themes in this podcast are quite distressing. We're dealing with racial vilification, so you may be disturbed by some of today's content. Hello, Lamely. This is the fabulous Adam Richard. Fab to you, and joining me, as does every single chapter here in Me, I Have a Memoir, the meaning of Mariah Carey. It is Posh, Phillip Lee Curtis. How has your week been?
It's been good. It's just sort of like Groundhog Day, I think, a little bit. I think I've said that before.
I think it was actually Groundhog Day this week.
Oh, well, that's why.
Like the date from the movie.
I never know what... when someone asks me how my week is, I just go, I don't know. Did I achieve something? You've read the chapter. You've
read a chapter of a book, and that's what we're going to get into today. And we are, by the way, our chapter 8, it just happens to be the end of the first section, the Wayward Child section. So I'm very excited about launching...
Season finale.
Well, yes, launching into season 2.
Ooh. It's so good we could just roll on into it. We'd have to wait 3 or 4 months.
I know. Or back in the old days, a year and a half.
Yeah.
So before we get into the chapter, of course, we need to get the lowdown on all those me moments.
Me moments. Oh, yes. All right. So we've got a couple of headlines. The first being that we've got some emancipation of me EPs coming.
So, I know.
The MC30 keeps delivering. I honestly thought maybe that was it, because I thought, as we got into the new millennium, there might not be as much sort of in the vault hiding. But oh no. Mimi always delivers.
The vault is burgeoning.
We also have, in some sad news, Shawn Mendes has been found murdered. Cause of death, Mariah Carey. The singer or whatever.
Death by shade.
Yes. The singer or whatever it is that he does posted a photo of himself in the great outdoors with the caption, "Grateful, the sun, coffee, my health, my family, old Mariah Carey songs, music, humans," with 3 exclamation points. Right. To which, of course, Mariah responded with a photo copying his post, but better because it's Mariah.
I know, yeah. She doesn't go naked.
No. Grateful, the sun, tea, which I think was a little all tea or shade.
Yeah.
My health, my family, old Shawn Mendes songs, music, humans.
Old Shawn Mendes songs.
And
they're
reports
a fortnight
say... Yeah,
old.
I know. I know. He's a fortnight old. And reports say upon receiving this reply, Shawn simply stopped living. So... may he R.I.P.
R.I.P. Mendes. He's very attractive.
Oh, he's a very... Yes.
He did a song with Bieber.
I think he's attractive
in the way...
in the
baked
way...
to me.
Yeah. I feel like he's attractive in the way that like an empty model home is attractive.
Yes.
Like, this is nice. Yeah, not much
display
going
home's
on. There's no
lovely,
furniture.
I don't want to live in this place with a bolted down chair.
No, it's not lived in.
I did live in a display home, by the way.
Was it amazing?
No.
Was it for like... Was it for comedy purposes?
It was for the radio.
Adam, how did I know this?
I know. It was in Mernda, when Mernda was not a suburb yet, or a train station, way back when. And yeah, people could just rock up, like at any time of the day or night. One day
So basically you were banned in the bubble, but you in a display home.
So it was kind of weird. Big Brother.
Did you have to write like a stand-up show in the time?
No. At one point I walked from, like I was sleeping in the big master bedroom for some reason. And I walked just like across the swimming pool, which was in the backyard, and into the kitchen.
Like Jesus.
Yeah, like Jesus. Not across, like just around the backyard bit. And then into the kitchen. I think I was just wearing my undies. And Joe Stanley was in the cupboard. Like, there was this massive pantry, and she was in there eating a biscuit with cottage cheese or something. I was like, "What are you doing in the cupboard?" She went, And I turned around, and I had just walked past a whole bunch of school children who were standing there gawping over the fence. I hadn't even noticed.
One of them was Shawn Mendes.
He was like 140 kilos of hairy old me wandering around in my underpants.
Look, I'm sure it was an awakening for many children that day in many ways.
In many, many ways, yes. Terrified, never having a thought again.
Oh my goodness. Now, I will say the Shawn Mendes, tweet was actually meant to be our lead story, but as I was putting
I know where you're going.
Do you know where I'm going? I wasn't going to
going.
mention it because I wanted to see if you had any idea. I'm going to read this word for word because I don't want to get sued myself.
Mm-hmm.
The headline was, Mariah Carey sued by sister Ellison for, quote, emotional distress, close quote, arising from Memoir. Ellison Carey's lawsuit was filed with the New York County Supreme Court last Monday and calls for at least $1.25 million in damages. It's a lot of money. Ellison accuses Mariah of heartless, vicious, vindictive, despicable, and totally unnecessary public humiliation via the book, which I'm sure we have not added to in any way, shape, or form.
No, we haven't at all.
We
don't know her.
No, who are they talking about?
Who is this court case about?
Mariah doesn't have a sister.
She's an ex.
The lawsuit adds that Ellison, who is representing herself...
Oh no, Ellison! She couldn't find a lawyer.
Representing herself in the legal action is, quote, severely depressed and uncharacteristically tearful since the publication of the defendant's book and now struggles after a long time clean with alcohol abuse. The filing also calls out Mariah for callously dismissing Ellison as her ex-sister. I don't think she's done that at all. I haven't noticed that. Have you noticed that?
No, not yet.
And goes on to state that Mariah made
we haven't seen them rock up to the ATM yet.
No, that's true. With the wig. And goes on to state that Mariah made these outrageous claims knowing that the plaintiff is profoundly and permanently damaged as a result of being forced by their mother while a preteen to attend terrifying middle-of-the-night satanic worship meetings that included ritual sacrifices and sexual activity.
Have we had that in the book? I don't remember.
I think we need the meaning of Ellison, Carey.
We do need the meaning of Ellison. I think that has been written over a number of issues of the Star magazine.
Probably, yeah.
And possibly also National Enquirer.
Yes, for $1.25 million, of course. That's always the number. Now, I was a little like, wow. Like, on one hand, I wasn't that surprised. I feel like the paperback edition of The Meaning of Mariah Carey may have an extra chapter at the end. But what happens? Are we liable in this?
No.
Are we going to get sued?
Well, no. I mean, she could try and maybe sue us under the Australian defamation laws, but I don't feel like we're just repeating what Mariah said. So she would have to sue Mariah here, but she can't because the book's not published here. And then she could sue us once it's proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that Mariah lied about her. I think then we could be in trouble. Also, I don't think anyone's ever sued a podcast. Has anyone ever tried to sue a podcast?
We could be the first.
I would love to be the first. We can say, well, we will give you all of our advertising revenue for the entire months that you were on the podcast. So that's like $11 at least.
Yes.
So look, Alison, get in line behind our other creditors.
I'm quite fine if we have to have a day in court with Mariah Carey.
Oh, that would be
Imagine the fans.
Amazing. You know, I have the same agent as Rebel Wilson, so I've heard many stories of having to go to court.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Stories of going to court plus Mariah Carey. It's a whole other ball game. I would love it. But that does bring us to the end of our me moments. A little juicy this week.
Very juicy. Oh, I noticed she's not. Our very good friend Michael S. Angeles Davis is not roped in. So yes, that's very weird. I feel like Alison has not read the fine print of the book. Like, representing herself says so much because...
I'm surprised she's not suing her in Canada because it's more expensive there.
Yeah,
I'm suing you, but only in Canada.
Only in Canada where it's more expensive. That says so much to me because, you've seen Better Call Saul. We know that there are many, many unscrupulous lawyers in the United States of America who, because it's a no-win, no fee kind of situation. Like, you don't get paid. Like, you get paid if you win, and you don't get paid if you don't win. So they often will take on spurious cases just to kind of get their name out there. But it means not every lawyer she's gone to has gone, no, you can't. This is an unwinnable case. You tried to prostitute her out at the age of 12. Mm-hmm. She's credible, and you have a history of drug and alcohol abuse.
And I'm pretty sure she outlines that you're always after her for money.
Yes.
And what is it you are asking for in this case?
A money.
A money.
If she'd gone, I don't want any money, I just want the book pulped, that's a different thing.
Sure.
Like, if she'd gone for that, we'd be like, ooh, this is a worry. But she's like, no, keep the book there. I will need the money from it, please.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Maybe Mariah will just send her own ATM with a wig. Like, just out the front.
An inflatable one. Dispenses air.
That's too much. All right. Should we have a little recap?
How about a recap? A recap. Would you like a recap?
All right, our recap from last week is Mariah's hair got a whole chapter to itself, and it explained the spine of the book.
Yes.
And there was a hot dog.
Oh, I could really go a hot dog right now.
Don't. I haven't had a carb all week. I'm really craving.
So we were just drooling.
Sorry. Also, I love Mariah eating a hot dog. It's like, yeah, I have hot dogs. I had one hot dog when I was a child. Now I'm a skinny legend.
No more hot dogs. I had one. It was good. I conquered that, and
Yes.
we're moving on.
I had a hot dog the day I had good hair. The end.
It's a celebration.
Yeah. So that was pretty much the whole chapter. I mean, there were some other people were mean to her about her lips, but she had good hair at the end, and that's a happy
all
ending.
that matters.
That was happy,
That
and I
is
loved
it.
it. Yeah, dumped in the surf, but had good hair.
Yeah. Thank you very much. And what about the gist of this week? What have we got?
Well, this week's gist: Mariah has a terrible experience with a group of girls. Then she has an empowering experience with a different group of girls, and then Vision of Love comes out.
Yeah. As did the Beverly Hillbillies, but we'll get to that. Shall we break it on down?
Oh, I don't know if I can, but let's break this really distressing chapter on down.
Break me on down.
So we are on to A Girl's Best Friend.
Now-
and I actually... Yeah, sorry.
I was going to say, last week, I was like, A Girl's Best Friend, it's going to be about diamonds.
Yeah.
The irony of that.
Look, there's a plot twist midway through this chapter.
This
That's
is
what
such
happens.
a beautiful, beautiful title, just thematically. Because, we do start off with Marilyn talk. Like, there's a lot of
do.
Marilyn Monroe
There is a
talk.
bit of diamond.
Mariah suggests that Marilyn was possibly biracial. Which is one of my favourite theories of
Why
all
not?
time. She's like, there are a lot of theories about her birth and death. I'm just saying she's curvy,
here's
and
mine.
her hair was wayward like mine. Mariah also suggests that Marilyn might be where the word Mariah comes from, even though she gives
Definitely.
two other explanations that are far more
Yes.
plausible.
We'll get to this, don't you worry.
But I have highlighted my favourite sentence about Mariah's name. Can I read it to you?
Yes, absolutely.
When I was younger, I didn't like my name. No one else had it, and when you're a kid, that's not cool. I always wished I,
know
had
what
a
this is.
regular name.
We're
Like
going to say it together.
Jennifer.
Jennifer.
Heather. Oh my God, I don't know her with her boring ass name.
So regular. No, I did write that one. In fact, there was
As a
quite
prologue,
few.
was that... Was that hurtful?
I might have to
for
sue you for that.
You can't sue me for prologue. You're prolo.
No, I was fine. Like I said, I have an I don't know her t-shirt, my very own. So I pick and choose who I know, depending on the company I keep.
Oh my God, a regular name like Jennifer. or
So-
Heather. I reckon it was just
Poor
Heather.
Heather.
Heather. Like, cause,
Yeah.
you know, because of
Whose
the
name is
movie,
Heather?
the movie Heathers. I reckon it was just Heather, and then she's gone, put Jennifer in there as a regular name.
Basic.
Michaelangelos, I want Jennifer in there as a basic bitch name.
Well,
I
it's
don't
funny
know
because-
her with her boring regular name. I know there's a lot of
Eat my hot dog.
I know there's a lot of distressing stuff to come in this chapter, but this filled me with so much joy.
Don't you worry. Okay. Well, it's funny because actually early on I did write a little prolo J-Lo because the first few quotes, right, before we know that it's Marilyn, I mean, we secretly knew,
Yeah.
but I was pretending I didn't. So we started with, from the moment I saw her, I felt both awe and identification. Oh, yes. To which I wrote, is she talking about me or J-Lo?
No.
Then she went on to say, such a radiant, glamorous, vulnerable yet powerful being. And I thought, well, she's talking about herself.
Yes.
And then she said she was supernatural, and I knew it was Shannon Doherty. So, to my surprise, though, Mariah goes on to say she wandered into Patricia's bedroom where her... one of my favourite... Just because I read it incorrectly.
Yes.
Was... My mother was lying in silhouette, and all I could imagine was, I mean, Patricia on the stand lying through her teeth at Allison's trial. But she's like behind a frosted window, just kind of reenacting, like, you know, making shapes. And the judge is like, no, it's fine because she's lying in silhouette. So it's more stylish. I'm okay with this.
So you took
I'm
the
reading that
wrong
going,
meaning of the word lying.
lying, yeah. But she was watching a little bit of a special about Marilyn Monroe, and I think
They
there
were
was
on
the
a lot.
Diamonds Are-
I think it was
Were
like,
they?
yeah,
There was two celebrities back then. It was Marilyn and Elvis.
yeah, pretty much.
They both died.
No, I think there must have been something in the 80s because we're, you know, Mariah and I are of a similar vintage.
What are we talking about?
I literally sent my poo to the government this week.
Oh my god, Gwen Stefani just turned 50. Do you think she said her shit is bananas?
She doesn't have to do it. She doesn't.
She
live
just put
here.
bananas in the letterbox. There were lots of Marilyn specials.
So yeah, it must have been like maybe the 20th anniversary of her death or something at some point.
Yeah,
so there
possibly.
probably a lot of. I think there was a lot of Marilyn going on.
But Mariah thought that Marilyn was hashtag the most beautiful person she'd ever seen. For some reason, I thought this was hilarious. In quotes, proud, purposeful breasts, which again I thought, well, she's talking about me again. I get it, Mariah. You're obsessed with me.
It's a fringe. They're not breasts on your head.
Isn't that a movie? Is there a movie where someone has breasts on their head?
I don't know.
I think there is.
I think you're thinking of an episode of Star Trek, but there's not.
No,
breasts.
I think it's something. It's something along the lines of like a dude where's my car. I don't think it's that, but it's, you know, with an SNL star or something.
Oh right, like Scary Movie 7 or something.
Yeah, something like that. But I think a little earlier.
Are you excited about
wow.
5 Cream?
I really am. I'm nervous because I don't want them to kill off Courtney Love's Cox. So I'll be
The best
in
one
theatre.
ever is it the second one with Laurie Metcalf in it?
Yes.
Yes, she's so good.
Oh my god! Did you see her in Desperate Housewives playing essentially the same character?
Yes.
Oh my god!
Going crazy at the supermarket.
Yeah.
she's
So
the
basically, Mariah, we do love Laura.
You know, I wish I had been. I nearly went to New York because she was doing Misery on Broadway with Bruce Willis in the bed.
I feel like I remember this.
I was like, oh,
you
she's
imagine?
gonna be so cray with that hammer.
Those eyes.
Like Bruce every night, I'd be like, I might actually lose my foot.
Yeah, pretty much. Imagine if they actually got Kathy Bates to do it. Has she done it on stage?
No, it had never been done as a stage thing before. It was a Stephen
we
King
should do
novel,
that.
and it was a movie, and so the stage play was based on the movie.
Yes. Okay, on the film. Because I would go and see that.
Oh, yeah.
Or maybe she can be in the bed this time. I don't know.
No. She's done that. She doesn't need to do it again.
Yeah. So basically, Mariah was hooked, and she said it was a love that was not typical of a third grader. So it got me thinking, what were some of the things when you were younger that you were obsessed with that were maybe a little outside of your age bracket?
Oh,
Was there anything? Because I had a few.
what were your ones?
I was obsessed with Sophia from the Golden Girls
Well, that's
at
understandable.
a young age, and Peggy from Married with Children, which I think we've touched on, but Lucille Ball was the other one. That's sort of she's my Marilyn.
I loved Lucy. Lucy wasn't
I hear
my
a few
thing.
people did.
Yeah. A lot of people loved Lucy. No, I was obsessed weirdly with my sister was obsessed with I Dream of Jeannie.
Yeah.
And wanted to dress like that all the time. I love Doctor Who as a kid. Like, I still do.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I was going to say sort of.
Yeah.
I think you and I were basically hatched as fully formed beings, and everything we loved at 5, we still love.
Yeah. I also, you know what I did? I loved the Thunderbirds. I used to get up like stupidly early to watch the Thunderbirds. And I'm just trying to think if I liked anything.
But was that
weird.
appropriate for your age? Like, were people at your
Probably.
age? Yeah.
Yeah, I was little.
Well, like, my favourite movie as a kid, which I may have even talked about, was War of the Roses.
Oh, that's not okay.
It's not a kid's movie.
You know what is like, when you're a teenager, you start to get into horror movies. I got really into horror movies at probably maybe 12, 13.
Yeah, I was probably 10. It's fine.
And
guys.
I wanted to see Poltergeist, and I wanted to see American Werewolf in London. These were all the big horror movies that were out when I was a kid. And, I couldn't go anywhere without my little sister, who was like maybe 9. So I used to drag her. There used to be this weird, this funny little cinema in Coburg, called The Progress, and it was like in a back street somewhere. It was weird. So I used to tell Mum I was taking her to see cartoons.
Yeah. I'm just going to go see a movie called Halloween. It's about trick-or-treating.
And she would be doing
The movie's called Child's Play. It's fine.
Like, I don't want to be here. Shut up. You'll enjoy it.
Oh my god.
My poor traumatized sister just freaking out at the clown strangling that kid in Poltergeist.
Oh my god. I actually haven't seen Poltergeist. Maybe I'll put that on my list.
Oh, it's so good. The first one, yeah. It's got Jo Beth Williams in it. Like,
I thought you were about to say Jo Beth Taylor.
Jo
I got
Beth
very
Taylor.
excited. I love Jo Beth Taylor.
Jo Beth Williams, she's amazing at everything. So yes, there was that, but yeah, no. When I was a kid, I don't think there was anything weirdly inappropriate.
Well, see, I was watching Scream before I watched Winnie the Pooh. Like, that came late. I was like 11 when I watched that. And I was probably 8 when I watched the second Scream.
Yeah, I think for me it was also the other way around. Like, when I was older, I was
Now
watching.
you're all about the Muppets.
I was in my 20s watching cartoons, and everyone's like,
Yeah.
"Are you okay?" I'm like, "No, I really like this Robotech thing."
This is fine. I'm fine. But yes, as you mentioned before, Mariah did go on to study Marilyn's curves and decide that she was non-Caucasian, and that's fine. If Mariah has decided that, it is gospel.
Yep.
And she was basically saying she related to Marilyn's life, the difficult childhood, feeling like an outsider, and she loved that she went from nothing to becoming a legend, which Mariah says she latched onto that. She believed
An icon, I believe.
in that.
She wants to be an icon.
And also, as you mentioned, we discovered that Mariah was named after Marilyn, a paddy wagon, and a show tune.
Yeah.
Or, or whatever. It's just, that's my name now.
I love that when she
that's-
finally met someone else called Mariah and they just sat around bitching about how other people couldn't pronounce their name.
And then after she bagged out the name Jennifer, she goes on to say, anyway, now kids are called Mariah. So whatever, icon.
Yeah. I have created normality.
So everything in this chapter seems fine so far, right? A bit of fun, a bit of relating to a Hollywood icon. It's all fun. And then Mariah's like, oh no, I'm going to this is like Psycho when Jamie Lee Curtis's mum gets killed, like really early on.
Yes.
And then it's a whole other film.
A whole other film.
Okay, let's just get into it. So in 8th grade, I'm not nervous. In 8th grade, Mariah wanted to be friends with a pack of Irish moles who had a chant, Blue Eyes Rule, which I just wrote. It doesn't even rhyme. What a dumb fucking chant.
Oh, those bitches. Like, you can... This is one of those scenes where it's like, every step that Mariah takes, you're like, no! What are you doing?
Yeah. But it's also, I think the reason we do that is because anyone who had any kind of, was bullied or peer pressured or whatever in high school, we're like, no, don't do it, because we know what's going to happen. Maybe not exactly what's going to happen, but a version of.
Yeah.
I love that Mariah makes a point to reference that her eyes are, quote, undeniably unblue, which I have now officially recognised as a colour. So if you go down to Bunnings or Midas 10, you need to get a paint swatch. If you go to Specsavers and you'd like some contacts, you just say, I want undeniably unblue.
Undeniably unblue. I mean, I can't.
By Mariah Carey.
I can't join in because my eyes are piercingly blue.
Mine are green. I'll just throw myself out with the rest of the trash.
Oh, yeah. How'd you get? It's blue and unblue, and you are some weird in-between bitch.
Exactly. I also wrote down the quote, in the 8th grade, comparison is the only method of measurement.
It is.
I mean, it's so good. It is such a good line because
really
it's
profound.
True. And it keeps going forever.
Yeah.
And then there was some weird thing where they decided to call her Fozzie Bear, which I could actually hear you squealing over the Muppets reference.
Got a little bit excited.
A little bit excited. And Mariah was sort of essentially saying she wanted to look like these moles.
Yeah. Why? We don't know.
And I took a lot of quotes from this chapter. They let me hang out with them. Oh, yeah. Even if I was only there as entertainment, I was always happy to put on a show. Did you ever have these kind of things in high school? Because I certainly did.
Look, I was kind of, like Mariah, class clown. And also weirdly kind of accepted for my behaviour. Like,
okay.
It was like, people used to explain it to each other. Like someone called me a sissy once, and then one of my friends was like, no, he's just like the opposite of a tomboy. That's all. Like, just... He just plays with the girls and the dolls. Like, he's still cool. And it was like a weird moment for me. It's like, okay. Because tomboys are fine for some reason, but... Yeah. But if you want to...
Well, let's face it, as a sexist...
Yeah, but if you're effeminate, it's like, no, you're going to die. Yeah, but for some reason, it was quite... Everyone was like, oh, no, that's just Adam. Adam's like that. He plays with dolls.
But that's the thing. I'm guessing that it was mostly men who were upset.
It was just one particular one who called me a sissy one day, and weirdly, all of the other blokes around me... I mean, blokes, we're like, what, 6? But like, everyone just kind of rallied around and said, no, Adam's just like whatever the opposite of a tomboy is. And then when they're like, oh, okay. Like, that was completely rational.
Oh, wow, that's weird.
I know, it was really strange. It was just...
See, my thing was more unspoken. It was just like, oh, he's different.
He's different.
Like, but it was in good and bad ways.
And stuff, though, didn't
you?
You were.
No, I always had friends.
You were passing.
Yeah, I was even like, I remember like friends' parents. I was always like different or special. Like, it was in good and bad ways, I suppose.
Yeah.
But I think the thing that I had on my side was a little bit more intelligence than the people who were calling me names. But I remember making the decision because I was probably grade 6, so about 12. And I remember thinking, well, shit's about to get real difficult. Don't know why, but I just know it is because there's this weird like puberty thing coming. And I actually made the decision to be funny. I was like, oh, well, I'll just be funny. That'll be my personality. Yeah. I will have a sense of humor now, because I don't think I did. I was quite a straight-laced little kid, very sensitive. And I was like, well, I'll just say swear words and it'll be a surprise. Not crass swear words, but just like, I remember one day, and I probably didn't understand it at the time, but my teacher was eating a peach and I thought it was hilarious because it looked like a butt. And I kept telling him, well, he's just eating a juicy butt, which as an adult is a compliment. But he could not stop laughing. And it was this will be in my meaning of Posh.
The meaning of Posh.
It was a kind of a powerful...
We've had a lot of meaning of Posh. We've got the sadistic fringe, the prologue.
I know.
And now butt eating.
and the many court cases pending. But But I remember thinking it was like a powerful moment because it was like, I just made an adult laugh. Like, and genuinely, it wasn't like an act. It was an accident, but I knew I was being cheeky.
Yeah.
Which I got away with because I was otherwise well behaved.
Yes.
And that sort of helped me through and got me, you know, anytime that there would be, you know, threatened dickheads who couldn't deal with a smart and effeminate man, I had other friends to sort of be like, no, he's awesome, he's hilarious, you shut up.
You shut up. Yes, he's quite camp, but he's funny.
And I was eating a bagel at the time.
Bagel.
I wish. I didn't have a bagel till I was well into my 20s, and I regret the first 20 years of my life.
Oh, I love bagels. I miss them. Stop talking about carbs.
Now, the Regina George, as I'm referring to her,
Yes.
of the group, was Mariah's closest, apparently, friend, who would, of course, go after any guy that Mariah liked.
Is this the one she calls the pretty girl?
Yeah, I call her Regina George because I feel like it ties into Mean Girls.
But Mariah loves Mean Girls.
I know, it's hard, isn't it?
Yeah, I wouldn't.
But maybe that's why, because they get what's coming to them.
Yeah.
But Mariah's quote of, I didn't ever pursue boys because I wanted to avoid the inevitable humiliation once they learned that half of me was black and all of me was poor.
All of me was poor.
All of me was poor.
I know. See, again, I grew up poor, so I am like, you know, I know I don't have a lot of this lived experience, but that one I do.
Well, do you know what's funny? Because I grew up poor, but I never thought of it as something that anyone would judge me on. I know that sounds probably silly. It just kind of missed me.
Did you go to a school with a uniform? Like even one of those shitty t-shirt and short ones?
I didn't wear it, but yes, I did.
Yeah.
So that probably helped.
So this is the thing that Mariah is experiencing. And I went to a school that did not have a uniform. And it's difficult when you turn up to school and someone's like, oh, that used to be my jumper. My mum gave it to the Salvos. Yeah, thanks. Great.
No,
thanks. It's comfy.
It was from a different one.
Is this a jizz stain? No.
I would have just turned around and said, well, why didn't you just give it to me? Yeah, you didn't want it.
Yeah, like weird stuff like that. Like you know, there are people who have like the $1,000 shoes and you've got, Kmart brand. I mean, I know Dunlop volleys are trendy now.
I had Michelle Bridges runners from Big W.
Michelle Bridges!
Now, possibly one of my favourite quotes of this whole book was, I didn't want to get wrapped up in some stupid boy and derail my dreams, or worse, get pregnant like my sister.
Is this what we're being sued over?
Yeah. See, Alison, she called you her sister.
Yeah.
It's fine. There's no court case. Yay. But I just thought that that's like derailing the dreams is one thing, but oh my God, being like my sister.
Yeah.
Please, no.
But I mean, I guess you did see Alison kind of, like she said, she came back from the Philippines not okay.
Yeah.
And, you know, in her head at that time, I guess it's all one thing. It's like, get pregnant. Get shipped off to the Philippines with your weird baby going away marriage cake.
You're obsessed with the cake.
I love that cake. Again, it's the no carbs. I'm obsessed with any kind of garbage. But yeah, it's like that for her is like a big deal. It's like, yeah, not doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And she's sort of even up until recently talked about her more prudish nature due to this, really.
Hello, hello, it's Brooke Devard, host of Naked Beauty, and I could not be more excited about Kate Spade New York's summer collection. They are celebrating 30 years of the brand, and the Kate Spade New York design team really outdid themselves with this summer collection. There's a gorgeous lemon-inspired raffia bag that I love, and the Bahamas sandals. It's a low heel with a feather detail at the toe. Take me on vacation immediately so I have an opportunity to wear these. Go to katespade.com to shop the Kate Spade New York summer collection now. I promise you're going to find something incredible for your summer outfits.
Now, in kind of a random turn of events, we find out that the pretty one, or Regina's mother, was being abused by the father, to which Patricia thought, oh, I'm Irish, because the father was Irish, so I'd better write a letter. I actually have the letter here.
What?
If you would like, it's exclusive to the podcast. I will read it now in my best Patricia.
Are we going to get sued by Patricia?
You might get a little bit.
Okay, go.
sweet. Okay. So I can't remember how the voice goes, but I'll try. I'll just see what
I
comes
see
out.
we're taking the scenic
Yeah.
word.
Dear Mr. Irish father. I don't know what. I am a white woman in America. I'm also Irish, so we're basically family. As a mother, oh, hang on. Sorry, my untrained daughter is singing, and I just had to school her on what a wonderfully talented opera singer I am, and she wishes she was half the singer I am. Anyway, where was I? Oh, it doesn't matter really. I'll have a recording contract any day now, so who gives a fuck? Kisses, Patricia. Oh, and P.S. Mariah's father is black.
Where's no mention of the beating of the wife?
Well, but that's the letter. That is the letter. You can't argue with the facts. It's not really the letter. Don't sue us. Please don't. ASMR about suing.
Not really the letter.
Well, it's the one that was sent to me. All right.
Okay.
All right. Now, I had to have a bit of levity before the next
Oh yeah.
bloody paragraph. So, all right. Thanks, Patricia, for the guess. That wasn't me.
That was,
I just want to point that
I
out.
know,
That was actually Patricia.
Actually Patricia.
So that's
our special guest.
That's why. Yeah, that's why I can't get sued, because it wasn't me. Now, okay. Now we have to stop laughing because we get serious, right? Now, Mariah was invited by these moles
To the Hamptons.
to the Southampton. Is that a different place?
It's one of the Hamptons.
Okay, it's one
There's
of
a
the
whole bunch
Hamptons.
of Hamptons.
I could go a bunch of Hampton. I'm hungry. But no, okay, serious. She was invited for a sleepover with the moles.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they arrive at the house after a long drive, and after about 30 seconds of Mariah sort of, taking in the surroundings that the girls...
Beautiful room. No
right,
one's ever
very
been in,
lush,
the
very
good
rich.
room.
Right.
We're in the Hamptons. Hamptons.
Right. Anyway, and that's all that happens.
That's
the
all
end.
that happened. It was lovely.
So, no, unfortunately, the girls call her into a smaller room out the back, and Mariah innocently thought that they would be maybe sneaking a little bit of alcohol, which would be nice.
That's what girls do at that age.
Right?
Yes.
I know I did. Instead, the girls start to hurl racial abuse at Mariah, chanting the N-word over and over at her.
Over and over. In the
I've
same way
lifted
they
this-
chanted their terrible, unrhyming blue eyes chant.
So it's insulting in every way. I took this quote from the book. So this is Mariah. It quite literally lifted me out of my body. I had no idea how to handle what was going on. It was all of them against me. They had planned it. They fooled me into thinking they actually liked me. They lured me hours away from home. They isolated me. They trapped me. Then they betrayed me.
Oh.
Now, Mariah sort of goes on to detail that she was just crying. That's as you would, and was hoping that a grown-up would hear this and come in and stop the assault. But of course, it is probably stemming from the grown-ups, and so they did not.
Yeah.
No one came to help. Mariah goes on to say, and it was a little confusing as to how many girls. I thought there was 4 girls in this group, but I wasn't 100%. Mariah heard the, quote, older blonde one ask why you're doing this when the pretty one's ugly sister just kept doubling down on the slur, basically. Yeah. From this, Mariah doesn't remember how she got home. She didn't tell anyone. She just stuffed it down. Basically saying that even though that she'd had some kids be cruel in the past, this was sort of the most violent, premeditated kind of hate that she'd experienced.
It was so full on, because I was listening to it, so it just kind of came in a torrent. I was like, "What is happening? This is horrific."
It's literally in the book. It's a single paragraph.
Yeah,
it just hits you.
And then, so after that, when you're listening to the audiobook, she reads the lyrics for Looking In.
Does she sing them or read them?
She reads them for a while and then sings the last half.
The last bit, yeah.
Which is why I thought that chapter was over, because I was like, oh, well, she's had a sing. She's finished now. Because I listened to it while I was on my run, and then, just listened to the last half a lot just before we started this. And I was like, oh, wow, this is quite... why did I leave it on that one?
I know.
It was a terrible place to finish. I should have trusted Mariah not to leave it there.
Right? I was reading it sort of thinking, the first half of the chapter before we get to that part, I was like, oh, there's things that we can actually relate to in here. We can talk about, oh shit, no, we're problematic again.
Yeah.
But as always, we say that, we do not have this lived experience.
No.
We sort of signed on to do this before we had any real idea of what would be some of the
but
content.
like I said last week, I love that we are, like, it's like a visceral, real feeling of what this kind of racial abuse feels like. Like, it's not...
Yeah.
So often when we're looking from outside of it, we go, oh, that must be terrible. Like, how awful. But, this is someone sharing their lived experience of it. And you're like, oh, this is hard to deal with. This is hard. Like, you feel these feelings. And I don't know if that's because, we've lived with Mariah in our lives for so long. And, when someone creates music, you often spend time with them when you're vulnerable and you're alone, so you kind of feel like you know someone in a way.
Yeah.
And finding this stuff out is like, it's almost more powerful coming from her than it would be from anyone else, because you're like, oh, but I feel like I know you, and now you've let me in on this terrible, terrible experience. So while neither of us have that, I feel like we are learning so much from this. I mean, the very next part after this is where she's being made fun of for not having, only having 3 T-shirts that she cycles around.
Yeah.
And that is
been there.
That is something I absolutely understand. But I love that she turned that into a positive. Like, one of the schools she went to, she's like, all right,
Oh my God, yeah.
I'm not going to get made fun of. I'm just going to find all the other poor girls and we're going to swap clothes.
Yeah.
So it looks like we've got
wardrobe swaps.
Heaps of clothes.
Maybe they should bring that into schools now and name it after Mariah.
Maybe.
Like Mariah's wardrobe.
Mariah's wardrobe.
walk-in.
I mean, don't most schools now just have one of those crappy little polo top uniforms because they're cheap and easy?
Pretty much. Yeah.
And you've got to be sun smart. You've got to have your big hat.
Oh, yeah. With your flaps on the back, your hat flaps.
Yeah, your hat flaps. Oh my God, we didn't even have hats when I was a kid. It was just burn. And just little,
They didn't exist
little
yet.
crisps coming in from the yard. All these burned children, faces peeling off.
Oh my God. Another quote, because this is quote heavy, was Mariah saying that middle school is a contact sport.
Oh yeah,
I thought that was particularly...
that did remind me of the Whitney Houston song "Love Is a Contact Sport."
Oh yeah.
From her second album.
So we're going to re-record that. But no, it's funny because not many people in Australia have a middle school, but I did actually have
really?
middle school, yeah.
Oh, we just had primary and high.
Primary and high, yeah. So I went primary, middle, and then high. But I have to say, it's so true because middle school is sort of between the ages of 13 and 15, which is when puberty hits and for some reason you get boobs or pubes and you just become an insufferable arsehole.
Yeah. You might have to shave once a year.
And for some reason, it is just when the absolute worst parts of humanity come out, because I'm terrified of teenagers more than anyone in the whole world.
They're awful.
Once someone starts getting to about 9, I'm like, oh, I'm out.
Yeah.
Relatives and that. I'm like, oh no, come back when you're grown up now.
It's just hormones. Hormones do terrible things to you. Like, have you ever lived in a house with someone who's going through menopause? It's just as bad. Seriously, my mum, when she was going through menopause, was horrific.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Just and the same with pregnant people. Just too many hormones can just screw with your emotions in a way you don't know it's happening. And that's what's going on with teenagers. They're awful, but they don't know because they're like, I don't know why I'm angry.
Oh my God. I will say though, I think there's a little more going on in the case of these young women.
Yes.
Unfortunately. But as you said, sort of moving around a little bit helped Mariah almost reinvent herself.
Yeah.
And every time she'd go somewhere new, she would be able to make new friends and do the wardrobe swap, as you mentioned.
I love that she also developed her signature pieces policy.
Yes, exactly.
Got to have a
Basically
signature piece.
Yes. And she also developed her wit around this time. She was sort of saying that this is where I started to get back a little bit.
Yeah.
And by 10th grade, Mariah was said to be dating the scariest man in town.
I know, I love him. He's 6'5" and he's got biceps. I'm in love with her ex-boyfriend.
I kept reading it as 5'5", and I was like, "Is that tall in America?"
That's
Like I was
6'5".
6'5".
I'm 6'1", so it's bigger than me.
Right. And they met when Mariah and her previous boyfriend were arguing. So Scary Guy picked him up and supposedly tossed him over 5 cars. Now, do we think there's a little dramatic license going on here? Because I feel that if I was thrown over 5 cars, it'd be a little bit of a death situation
Matchbox cars or whatever.
Not that I would dare insinuate Mariah's being dramatic ever. No. I just think it would lead to... Do you know what, though?
My fiance has to keep constantly asking me, he goes, is that a real fact or is that one of your exaggerations? I'm like, there's no such number as per trillion.
It's like there's no such word as therapizers. But I will say this: what I picture though is in this scene with the Matchbox cars. I just picture the scene from Matilda where Trunchbull tosses the little girl by her pigtails, and I'm like, well, that's just fabulous, is what that is. So. Love that Trunchbull.
You meant to like Miss Honey.
We do. We love Miss Honey as well. So
I think Miss Honey is responsible for turning a lot of women gay.
I was actually thinking in the back of my head, I was like, was she meant to be gay? I can't remember. Or is the actress gay?
Embeth DeWitts? I don't know. I don't think so. I think she's played gay in something, though.
Maybe she's played gay in something. Yeah. So then Mariah goes on to talk about how she was being hilarious by making fun of some stupid kids in their stupid style while she was eating her bagel.
Retro style.
Oh, yes. And she was having a little nom-nom on a bagel.
Oh, that
and they
bagel.
Were like,
I really want one now.
We'd love a bagel. And they were like, we're going to get you, Mariah. And Mariah was like, nah, but she was secretly scared.
She was terrified.
But she was not. She was like, nah, I'm going to get you back. And then there was, and I will quote Mariah exactly, a big beautiful wall of every style, size, and shade of every black girl I knew in school.
Oh.
And they went on to say, "Oh, we got your back."
I loved this because I thought it was going to be Mr. 6'5" standing behind her.
That's what I thought. Twist again. Mariah's always there with that plot twist.
So good with a plot twist.
And then Mariah went on to win everything.
I did love that this was like a reflection. Of the earlier scene with the blue-eyed gang going, I thought they were my people and I tried to hang out with them and they were awful. Yeah. They were basically the Ku Klux Klan with a blowwave.
Hey, you don't know what's under that hood. They might have a blowwave already.
They could all look like Kellyanne Conway under there. We don't know.
Oh, God.
But then the whole thing flips around and it's like, oh yeah, there's a wall of women with my back. And that just felt like a really powerful and empowering moment. And I'm like, oh, this chapter that's got this horrific story of women, a wall of women being awful to her and racially abusing her. And then we get the complete flip side of that. And it's like, this is so beautifully structured. And the fact that the chapter is called A Girl's Best Friend and it's about navigating who your best friends are. Yeah. Oh, beautiful. Just beautiful.
And I even think sort of, hearkening back to how she always felt like she was sort of in between and never really belonged to either way. And she did even sort of suffer some issues from both sides, basically. So to actually have, a group of girls, people of colour, go, you know what? You are one of us. Yeah. And we're there for you. I think it was, exactly. Which is awesome. Now, years later...
Oh, I love the coda of this chapter.
It's like an epilogue. Years later, after the release
Epilogue.
Put that in the microwave.
Microwave.
After the release of Vision of Love, Mariah and Patricia drove... Preface. Mariah and Patricia, I nearly said Matricia, drove back to the house where the pretty Regina George girl lived so that Mariah could be like, bam, bitch, I won.
Oh.
And Patricia could show off her dead animal coat, which I wasn't loving, just quietly.
Oh my God, though. What about the guy who comes out with the Long Island accent? Oh, look, Pitt's gone Hollywood.
I literally wrote, apparently they filed out like the Beverly Hillbillies to wave or whatever. That was my note.
Which was holding their elbow like Granny.
Y'all come back now, you hear? Now, the nicer one who did try to help back in the day. He did yell out to Mariah that she was really happy for her, really excited. So Mariah has decided that she gets to be pretty now.
She is the prettiest
She was
sister.
the pretty all along.
Yeah.
And then we get a little My Saving Grace.
Oh, which also... Sing, Mariah,
She does sing it. I can't be looking forward.
Oh, I'm so... You know, the weird thing is, though, is that it looks fine on paper because Giving Me Peace is the start of a run-up to another bit. But when she sings it and she just stops, it's like, what are you doing to me, Mariah?
What?
You're about to...
End
you're just about to
of
start
chapter,
the
end
big
of section.
run-up to the Giving Me... no.
It's intermission. It's intermission now. Go get some popcorn.
Giving me... No, I'm not going on with that. Like, what are you... Oh, it's... Seriously, like, because of my love for the singing of Mariah, it's... I felt like she just turned the tap off. I'm like, what? I can't... Just, don't sing it if you're not going to finish. Don't start this, woman. Anyway.
But that does, I believe that brings us to the end of the chapter. Have we left any stones unturned?
No, I think we've gone longer than the actual chapter.
All right, let's smash through to some Mariah meatiness.
Mariah made it out.
Now, last week we had Detangled and Swept Away, which I gave a 7.
Yes.
Fab gave a
I
9,
gave it a 9.
of meatiness. And the Lamely gave it Infinity with 63%. But I will say, there was a little bit more of the rest was sort of spread around.
Right.
It was a mixed bag. So for a girl's best friend, what are you feeling? What are you thinking? What are you meeting?
Well, look, the meatiness of the emotional content and the things that I have been exposed to that, you know, even though they're stories, the kinds of stories you've heard before, like this is I felt a lot more listening to this than I have with any kind of stuff like this before. And I mean, maybe that's just because I've had quite a full-on last 18 months of just really immersing myself in various kinds of black culture and television shows and reading books and things. But it just really felt more potent than anything else really in the book, including having tea thrown on it. And also just because of the regular boring name of Jennifer, I am going to have to give this one Infinity.
Oh, no.
I don't know her!
Poor Jennifer's around the world and Heather's. Gosh. Well, it's funny because from, the beginning of the chapter, I thought, this might be more of an 8 or a 9,
Yeah, we might
But
be
then she
going
hit
into
us.
hair territory more.
Yes.
Another hair chapter. This one's
It's
about...
a hair chapter, that's fine.
but
But no, hitting us with that. Honestly, I kind of just stared at that one paragraph for quite a while.
Yeah.
I think it's... Because as Mariah, I believe, even describes it, it's kind of violent.
Yeah.
Like, it's the way, and even the way it's spelled, like, it hits
and
you.
the intention behind it. Like,
the intention
literally,
behind
it's
it.
just a word. Like, it could be potato. You could be calling someone a potato. But
True.
the intention behind using that word and what
Yeah.
it's charged with is horrific. It is really there. And I know girls are little bitches, but yeah, it was a group effort.
That was beyond. I think back to some of the stuff that happened in high school, and you go, that was not great.
Yeah.
But like you said, some of that you could pull back to hormones and puberty and all of that.
But this was it was
this was something
organized,
else.
and like that sentence that you read out, like you just go, this was beyond just a bit of bitchiness. This was orchestrated hatred, essentially.
Yeah.
Like,
Did the that section hit you immediately in the same way it did reading it? Like, I'm just curious because I've not listened yet.
yeah. Well, like I said, I stopped listening because it was such a powerful thing, and then she sang a song, and I was like, well, that is a lot.
Yeah.
And I was in the middle of a run, so I was like, well, I am just going to do the rest of this.
Tripped over it. Like, shit.
I was like, I got my phone out and I put on something else. So I was like, whoa. So yeah, I mean, I know that was like technically an accident. I could have just gone on listening to the next bit because that was next. I actually really appreciated having time to kind of let that sit with me. Like it was, yeah. It is. I mean, her vocal performance is perfect. She doesn't oversell these things. Like, she just, she just reads them like
it's just a fact.
This is a thing that happened to me. And I'm reading it like that. Like, she oversells things like salon, darling.
Yeah.
But like a passage like
Jennifer.
Jennifer was like one of those things that I had to do a kind of double take on. I was like, did she just say regular names like Jennifer? Oh my God, that bitch. I love her. That shady bitch.
So I will put this up for the Lamley to have a little vote as well.
Please.
I dare say they'll be on the similar page, but we will see.
And what was your score?
I gave it infinity as well.
As well, yeah. How could you not?
The remix, the remix,
So the remix, have we got anything that we would change up in this chapter? If you were there, what would you do differently?
I would not be sucked in by that Hamptons address. No one's inviting you anywhere nice for anything good.
No. Mine was that I'd have brought Patricia a faux fur coat and I would have accidentally burned down the Southampton's house. I don't know how that happened. I was just looking in the good room and it burnt down.
Looking in the good room and all those tea lights just fell on the floor.
Yeah. With a big can of gasoline. I don't know.
Can't take that away. Oh, Mariah's lesson.
How about a little can take that away, bracket Mariah's lesson, close bracket?
Well, don't name your child something boring like Jennifer.
I feel so bad for the Lamley who may be... Do you reckon the Lamley, anyone in the Lamley named Jennifer is just going to change their name?
Jamariah.
That's now my future children's names.
Jamariah.
It's the only reason...
Jamariah, come in.
It's the only reason I would have children. To name them Jamariah. And Mariah Ean.
Mariah Ean.
My lesson for this week is that teenagers are assholes. Avoid them at all costs.
Yes, that is.
And I feel like there might be a few candidates for this. The I don't know hers.
Well, I don't know her with her boring regular name.
The worst person in this chapter, Jennifer.
Yeah, I hear you resenting my constant referring to this there in your pro-low tower.
No, it's more rocking a hard place. What do I say? I can't get around it because my name is Posh Lopez.
I know. Prolo!
But I'm also doing a podcast on Mariah Carey. That's how much I love her. So I can love all of the divas. It's fine. And they don't have to love each other. I can love them enough for both of them.
Yes.
So no, we do not know Regina and her friends. We might know the blonde one, maybe. The older blonde one we might know.
I don't know any of them.
We really don't know Mariah's first boyfriend, who barely gets mentioned.
Yeah.
But the one
he harassed her.
He did. The one that I thought was really fun is that Mariah doesn't know that one boy who ran faster than her.
I know.
She's like...
I was almost the fastest person in school.
There was one.
One.
His name was Jennifer.
He had a regular name, like
Jennifer. Can you imagine if she meets someone called Jennifer, she goes, oh, that's regular.
It's a regular name. Hello, Miss Garner. What a regular name you have. Oh, Miss Aniston. Regular Aniston.
I actually did just watch the morning show.
How good is it?
Oh my God, it was so good. So good.
It's just one of those moments where you go, oh, that's what Aniston should have been doing all this time.
Yeah. Well, I always
playing Jennifer Aniston.
Yeah, exactly. I always thought, because people, I think of the Friends cast, she was probably the one written off the quickest.
Yes.
But then I remember seeing an interview with her and I was like, oh, you're not Rachel.
No.
Like, she is, but she isn't. I was like, you're really not Rachel. And that made me appreciate her more subtle humor, I suppose. But she does this a lot. And I can't not hear it anymore.
That's someone who's had too many spliffs the night before.
Exactly. I mean, what? Please don't let Jennifer Aniston sue us.
I don't know if you've ever listened to the Puffcast, but Scott Brennan's every 2 seconds.
And I did think, because of the quote, I didn't want to get wrapped up in some stupid boy and derail my dreams, or worse, get pregnant like my sister. I did think perhaps for the next little sections, we might have a new little quick section called Mariah-isms, where we both nominate our favourite quote.
Oh, yes.
So I thought we kind of do it anyway, but we can do a definitive and maybe get the Lamley to vote on the Twitters for their favourite of our favourites.
Well, if we're doing one for this episode, it is... I always wished I had a regular name like Jennifer.
Oh, the shade is real. And I think
Prolo! You Prolo!
At the end of the podcast, baby. Almost there, almost home. You could probably say, but you won't because of copyright. That's a no.
All right. The next episode is, well, we're into season 2, I guess.
Season 2, Sing Sing. So we will, I should say, we're going to be covering 2 chapters.
2 chapters.
Prelude, like preface, a prelude to Sing Sing,
to Sing Sing,
and Alone in Love.
Alone in Love. Oh, that's one of my favourite lyrics.
I like Prelude.
Prelude. Prelude to Sing Sing. So only the 2 chapters?
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes.
Well, I'm looking forward to spending some time in the glamorous upstate prison of Sing Sing with Mariah.
And we might actually get to a part where Mariah is a recording artist. That's very exciting.
Come on, the last bit, she had Vision of Lovers on the radio. It's all on. And
it was a little bit of a jump ahead, but yes.
Yeah, no. And also, don't forget the guy with the gun and the cat heard about Mariah on the radio.
That's true. I need to go back and re-listen to our own episodes. I forget.
Oh, thank you so much, Posh. Thank you, Lamely, for joining us. Please don't hate or cancel our Prolo here. He's lovely. Even though he's a fan of regular named people.
I should point out that, I'm sorry, who was at that concert as well? Remember?
I was there on a free ticket with my radio station. I also went to an Enrique Iglesias concert, and I didn't love them.
I'm going to find the tweets where you said how great it was.
It was really good. It was really good because I knew none of her songs.
Oh, you knew that? You knew the one that she sang at the inauguration. Let's Get Loud. Written by Gloria Estefan.
I knew the one that they used to play at the gay bar that I worked at every 6 minutes, which they played for the New Year's in 2000, whatever that one was.
Waiting for Tonight.
Yeah, that's the one.
I mean, I don't know them.
You're a Prolo, you know that.
Gonna find those tweets.
I will say I enjoyed that concert. It doesn't mean I'm an apologist for that woman with her regular name.
Well, look, you know what? We might get to that chapter, and I might change my name to Posh Carey. I don't know.
You could.
It could happen. Probably won't. Could.
Probably won't.
Just because I'm so branded at this point. I'm too tired.
All right, Posh. Have a fabulous, fabulous week. Big air kisses, darling. Mwah.
Mwah. Bye, Lamely.
Bye, Lamely.